Hello, everybody. This module we are watching The Wizard of Oz. It's a 1939 picture. The film won the Academy Award for Best Original Musical Score. If you remember from a few modules back, the Academy Awards were started in 1929, so now we're a decade into those awards, and so these have become pretty prestigious awards to get, and this film earned one. It is considered, or it is, the most watched film of all time. It is a classic picture that kind of resonates through decades and generations. A lot of people, film enthusiasts or not, have seen the film or know about the film The Wizard of Oz. It's inspired many songs and movies and even plays. If you look here, the song "The Tin Man," which is by a group called America, I believe, it inspired that song. "Goodbye Yellow Brick Road" is inspired by the film, and that's an Elton John song. There was a remake in the 80s, I believe, called The Wiz, and it had an all-black cast when the film was made. I think Michael Jackson played a character, Diana Ross, a bunch of famous people in that particular movie. A Great and Powerful is another adaptation of the film. The play Wicked is also inspired by the by the film The Wizard of Oz. Okay? And some famous expressions have stood the test of time, and these are expressions that came from the film. Now, we don't hear many of them today, but they are phrases that are still well known and were used throughout the decades after the film, right? So, "lions and tigers and bears, oh my," is a famous phrase from the film. Again, you're not hearing that much today, but it is something that has been around a while. "We're not in Kansas anymore." That's actually one that you will hear, and you'll see that you'll hear that line even get used in movies and television shows even today. I'm melting. That is a famous line. "Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain." So when somebody is trying to deceive someone else, you might hear that phrase being used. The synopsis: when a tornado rips through Kansas, Dorothy and her dog named Toto are whisked away in their house to this magical land of Oz. They follow the yellow brick road toward the Emerald City to meet the wizard. On the way, they meet a scarecrow who needs a brain, a tin man missing a heart, and a cowardly lion in the need of some courage. The wizard will help if the group will bring them back the broom that belongs to the Wicked Witch of the West. So that's kind of the general storyline that you're going to be watching. And again, most people probably know the storyline, and you may have already even watched this film, so it's kind of fun to watch it again in the context of kind of breaking it down and analyzing it. And if you've never seen it before, this will be a great film for you to check out. So some of the themes that you will find in this particular movie is there's no place like home. That's a major theme that plays throughout. The idea of self-sufficiency and good versus evil is another theme. So when we're watching the film, what are some things to look for? Okay, so first off, what is Dorothy trying to escape? Okay, and we're not talking about when she's in the land of Oz. We're talking about before that, right? What's she trying to escape? What does she want to get away from in her life in Kansas? Why are Uncle Harry and Auntie Em powerless against Miss Gulch? Okay, so usually if you're a young person, you'll tend to go to your parents or your guardians for help when you're in a situation. But for whatever reason, Uncle Harry and Auntie Em are powerless against Miss Gulch. So why is that? Why is that the way that it is? Okay, so think about that. What does Dorothy think is Over the Rainbow? So there's a very famous song in the film called Over the Rainbow. And you'll see a few musical numbers and things in this particular movie. It is a musical. And again, just like in Top Hat, this film, the dance sequences or dance numbers are there to move the story forward and give information. So what do you think, or what does Dorothy think is over the rainbow? That's what we're looking for there. And what do the ruby slippers represent? Okay, so there's these fancy ruby slippers, and many people admire these slippers, and other people want the slippers. And so what is the big deal about these slippers? Okay, what are they representative of? Okay. Who comes up with the plans during the journey? So these next questions are kind of posed towards the people she's traveling with. Okay, the Tin Man, Scarecrow, and the Lion. Who comes up with the plans during the journey? Who is the most compassionate character along the way? And who demonstrates courage along the way. Okay, so those are 3 questions that you might want to look for the answers to those questions as you watch the film, because they'll help you understand what's going on a little better. What does Oz actually give the main character, right? So each person's going in there with a need of something, right? One of them needs a brain, one of them wants a heart, one of them needs a courage, or Dorothy needs to get back home. But what does the wizard actually give each character in the end? And what has changed in Dorothy so that she believes she has the power to go home? So this is talking about her story and her narrative, right? And then it's talking about narrative. This is a circular narrative, which is something we've spoken about before. You're going to see it starts and ends in Kansas on the farm. One of the things we're going to see is the value of the journey. So we're going to see Dorothy go on a hero's journey, and you're going to learn about kind of the value of the journey and how she is more self-sufficient. What does she say at the end when she's back on the farm? And how has she kind of changed as a person, right? So those are some of the things to look out for as you are watching this film. It's a fantastic film. It's in color, which is its whole thing in itself. This is one of the first early films that were done in color. So this is a new evolution in the filmmaking process. And so hopefully you'll enjoy it. If you have any questions, please reach out.